The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Subconscious Selling Domination System. If you're an already successful sales leader, salesperson, or sales team leader, and you're already at the top 10 to 20% of your market, but somehow you've hit a plateau, the old techniques are just barely moving the needle, and you're ready to bust through, dominate your market, and even crush your competition, go to sellwithsuggestion.com. Grab your instant trust quick start training and your subconscious sales conversion vault, which are all part of the subconscious selling domination system. Just go to sellwithsuggestion.com. That's sellwithsuggestion.com. Hey, welcome back to the Influencer's Edge. This is the show that disconnects the dots, colors outside the lines, and thinks outside the box. And today's guest has got me really, really excited. We had a little green room chat. I warned her this is not a conventional show, but she didn't even bat an eyelash. So we're going to have tons of fun. This topic that we're going to be sharing and batting around is something that's near and dear to my heart. It's part of my own journey. So Koya Webb, thank you for honoring us, for being on the show and being ready to play with my brain.
Awesome. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so let's go through the bio. You know, I tend to skip through, but Koya, you have got quite the accomplishments stacked behind you, dear. So you are the founder of Get Loved Up Yoga School. I love it. I love that title. It's fantastico. Koya has inspired millions worldwide, authored Let Your Fears Make You Fierce. Where do you come up with these great titles? Do you generate them? That's amazing. What is your process for coming up with these titles? Like, holy for holy.
Thank you. Most of the times they're a divine download is what I like to call them. It's just like a channel from the divine and it comes to me. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And I write it down. But usually it's like when I'm just in nature or meditating and I'm super clear and I love names and I love like creating cool names. And so it's definitely a gift as well.
Where's a copy of your book? Can you hold it up to the camera, damn it?
So you can get a copy of my book anywhere books are sold. Let Your Fears Make You Fierce, How to Turn Common Obstacles into Seeds for Growth.
Ooh,
And then my new book is on pre-order. It's
what is
called
that?
it's called Well-Being Rituals.
Holy for holies. We got a lot to talk about. All right. Um, Let Your Fears Make You Fierce. Love it. You've been featured in Forbes, Goop, don't know that one, Essence, NBC, CBS, E, and more. You have guided celebrity clients, that list I'm sure is confidential, global brands toward holistic transformation. All right, let's pause right there. Words like holistic and transformation are tossed around like bowling balls. That was a bad analogy. What do you mean by those terms? What do you mean? First of all, what do you mean? What's your definition of transformation?
Well, when it comes to holistic well-being, I specifically have a framework that includes 7 areas of well-being, and that's spiritual, emotional, mental, nutritional, physical, social, and financial. So when I
Ooh,
say holistic, I don't just mean mind, body, spirit, which, as you said, gets tossed around like bowling balls. I mean really looking at these 7 areas of well-being and seeing how we can nurture those areas for transformation. And transformation for me is going from one state to another state. Like that is for me what I consider transformation. So there are small transformations, there are big transformations, but even the smallest transformation that I felt the first time I really connected to my breath and used my breath to connect to spirit was just breathing deep. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And just how that calms your nervous system and makes you feel connected. So I went from a simple slowdown and connection with the breath to I'm certified in breath work and I can take people through a 45-minute breath work experience that can help them release trauma and cry and release pain locked in different places of the body. I can take people through yoga that can unlock energetic blocks. So there's small transformations and big transformation. But to me, well-being is holistic, meaning it covers multiple dimensions. It's not just the body, it's not just the mind, it's everything together because one thing always affects the other.
What I find exciting about this, among other elements, is in my own healing journey and working with people, is if you try to address the cognitive parts, that's important. But if you don't address the in neuroscience terms, the amygdala that's firing up and saying threat, 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 when in reality, it can be a useful change, then you're fighting a more powerful system. So I love that you're using breath work to align people's energy, but also to calm down the brain. And what system or style of breath work? Is it Stan Grof's holotropic breathing, or what are we talking about here?
It depends on what your goals are. So
Ah,
when it comes to stimulating yourself, you can be stimulating the sympathetic nervous system or the
correct.
parasympathetic. The sympathetic is, fight, flight, it's revving you up. And the parasympathetic is rest and digest, is slowing you down. So if you're cold or in the morning, if you want to, ignite your system, I'm going to use like a fast breath, like breath of fire, really quick
Pranayama.
breath. And that's going to, yes, breath work is pranayama, movement of the breath, prana meaning breath. So when we breathe and we use that specific breath work, it is igniting, right? It is really revving you up. When we use a slow breath, like a circle breath, like in through the nose and out through the mouth, that is stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system. So it really depends on what your goals are. If you're hyping yourself up to compete, to fight, maybe even to speak on stage, you're going to rev up your sympathetic. And if you want to relax and regulate your nervous system, which most of us need, you're going to be tapping into your parasympathetic nervous system.
I think this is so important for people, my audience, entrepreneurs, business people, because they're confusing fight, flight being in that cortisol dump as being productive, where in actuality, that's getting in their way. So how did you make the connection between doing this healing work and then reaching out and helping people in business? What was your process of going? Was it a light that suddenly went off in your head, or was it a gradual process of seeing, oh, wait a minute, these people need it, or did it relate to your own story, or what?
Well, everyone needs it, but especially our business owners, especially our parents, especially for people who are high performers and high achievers, we tend to have a lot of stress. Good stress and not so great stress. So, the good stress is I got a new job, I got a pay raise, I got this new opportunity, I got this exciting vision, but it's still stressing the body. And the not so great stress is I got in a car accident, or I went through a breakup, or a loved one transition, and that is challenging stress, but the body receives it all as stress. So those people that are in corporate and high achievers and entrepreneurs, they tend to carry a ton of stress that is good and challenging, along with their relationship and their family stress. And so they need a lot more nurturing when it comes to regulating their nervous system so they can be good at what they do. And so I'm kind of person I consider heal the healers and help the healers heal themselves. So I work with a lot of leaders because not many people know, they know the lingo, but they don't really know how to help a person really regulate on a cellular level and really find that way that they can still achieve at a high level and find peace of mind.
Crazy, unbelievable stuff. Now, something is coming up for me as I hear you speak and I feel your energy and just listen to how you're speaking. So many people, when they're healers, get caught in one modality. Where did you get this orientation that you're constantly looking for different ways to be more effective in healing people in your own healing journey? Did you have a model or a parent who said, just keep learning, don't rest on what you already know? Or is it who you are naturally or something you needed to learn in order to survive?
I believe it's who we all are naturally. I believe naturally we all are part of this collective consciousness. Some people call all this collective consciousness God, some people call it the universe. And I feel like we're all connected. And so at a very young age, I spent a lot of time in nature. I didn't know about like meditation or yoga, but I was a country girl. in Tennessee. And so
Oh,
I spent time in nature, and that helped me connect. And I'm also naturally empathetic. So I feel really deeply. I feel others. I feel a lot of the world going around. So that made me highly sensitive to shifts and changes. And I feel like it was just like part of my calling. Part of my calling is to help people be well. I always gravitated to wellness book. I read about a book a week, and it's just always just very, very interesting to me. And so I think it's part of my calling, and I have to choose it every single day because it's not easy.
here's something to now see. I told you in the warm up for the show that what you say will trigger a lot of curiosity for me. So a lot of business leaders, people who lead sales teams, et cetera, feel that or take on the position that their way is the right way. They don't really understand how to be emotionally regulated, because it's only when you're emotionally self-regulated you can genuinely receive information from your team, and the power can flow both ways. That you have the power to lead, but you're also open to input. So how can someone who's the leader of a team apply what you teach to be open to feedback and yet maintain leadership? Because you mentioned the word empath and or empathy. And why this question is coming up for me is I have found that being empathic myself has cost me a lot of pain. And in the past, not anymore. I learned to regulate it. We won't get into that story. This is about you. How can a leader who's empathic still hold to their own vision without becoming rigid and letting their team really communicate with them?
Well, I believe a great leader is just is as strong as their team is vocal, meaning every single one of us has our own unique gifts that we bring to the table. And if you hire someone, hopefully you hire someone because of the gifts that they bring to the table. And if you then run the company totally based on your vision and your thoughts and your gifts, then you're not getting the most out of the people that you hired, right? So a great leader is able to elicit the greatness out of each and every person that they hire. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to be on the team, right? If you just have a lot of worker bees, you will only get so far. But if you have people and you encourage every single team member to think outside of the box, that's when you get incredible ideas beyond what you could possibly think. We all have one vision, but when you add diversity to that vision by getting feedback from other people, that's when you really create a business that will last and it will reach more people. So I think all great leaders know how to nurture and encourage their team to be their greatest and highest self. And I actually go into corporations and I help them nurture the team members so the team members don't feel like misunderstood or unvaluable, so that they will share their ideas.
Talk about that process a little bit, about how that works, how you do what you do, because it's a beautiful idea. I want to encourage you to unpack that so people who are watching and or just listening to this episode go, wait a minute, Koya's onto something. I need to hire her, or at least get in touch with her and talk about this.
Absolutely. Well, I studied entrepreneurship underneath the Entrepreneur Operating System, which is EOS. And what that does, it encourages you as a leader to really understand your teams and make sure they're the right people, meaning they align with your company values. So our company values are communication, team player, and you have all your values. So each person has to align with that. And then each person has to be in the right seat. So it could be a very talented person, but if they're doing the work that's not truly aligned with them, then you
Yeah.
might, man, I thought this was a great person, but they're really doing a bad job. Well, they might be doing the wrong job for their personality type. Right. So I go in and I really get to know the team. What are your gifts? What are your strengths? And what are your weaknesses? They might have a person working in their weakest area and they hired them for their strengths. But because, hey, we already got someone doing that strength, we just want you on the team, but do this job. and they're going to fire them soon because they can't do that job. They can do the job that they were hired for. So it's really important to make sure that your team, and these are just a couple of things. I have like a whole game plan when I go into corporations that I use, and a whole framework that really helps them get the most out of their team.
Unpack a little bit without giving away the secret sauce.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more. So this process of talking to the team
Mm-hmm.
and bringing out strengths from each team member. What's your process for doing that? Because whenever someone has a talent or a skill, I want to know how they do it because I want to steal it. No, I don't want to steal it. I want to know the structure. Someone who's been trained in neurolinguistic programming, I'm always interested in the structure of talent. You obviously have a talent that you've worked very hard on. I can see immediately that you're a person who's put in a lot of the work, a lot of work. And that not only that, you're constantly committed and encouraging of yourself to keep putting it in. I think for you, this is my insight into you, that standing still would be just sinking under the water, that you are someone who's committed to change and to being even more impactful for people. So thank you for that. And that said, unpack a little bit more of the process. So you come in, I've got a corporation, I've got like 100 people working under me. What is your process for finding the strength of the team members? You don't have time to go through each individual in a team that big. What is your process? Help me understand it. And did
Mm-hmm.
you create it, or did you have it? Did you extract it from a process?
So the process that I extracted it from is the EOS system, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. You can literally look online, go to the website, and you can see it's very extensive. I spent about a year perfecting it for me, right? And then I take that same system and I perfect it for the companies, and I use my empathy to know like, okay, what's really going to move the needle? But that's like a gift. It's nothing that I could share. I mean, the system is, again, the EOS
Whoa,
system,
whoa,
which
whoa,
is
pause,
always out
pause,
there.
pause. Put a pin in that because you just said something interesting. You said you have a gift that cannot be shared. So I'm guessing my insight is that gift is something you believe has been divinely given to you. Is that correct?
Yeah, what I shared before, the gift of empathy is the ability to feel and see what's needed in a person or a company. And that is a gift. Like people, like I literally have one-on-one clients that I help. And this is the way, if I was working with you, this is how I would teach you to do what I
I
do.
would encourage you to get prepared for crazy. But go ahead.
This is how I would encourage you to do what I do. And this is what I do in my book, Wellbeing Rituals. The more you get clear out of the ego and into your soul through breath work, meditation, mindfulness, we all have a gift of empathy. But the thing is, we're so distracted trying to, I mean, even if I tell you my full way, it's not the way you would go into a corporation and do your thing. So actually, I train people to be their authentic self, because when you're your authentic self, you can go into the same business I can go into and give them a different gift. So it's never competition, because you will never be able to give the gift that I give, and I will never be able to give the gift that you give. And
True.
that's what's so beautiful about the world is I teach there is no competition. We all are here to give a beautiful gift. I can give the same strategy to two people, and I just wrote about this today. If one person is a twin and one person's nervous system is dysregulated,
Yes.
they're not going to see the same result with the exact same strategy. So I teach people strategy all day. People hire me for one-on-one coaching. I also have a mastermind when I work in a group with businesses, and I'm giving tip after tip and strategy after strategy. The people that are the most successful are the people that are more clear and have the most regulated nervous system. Those people are able to tune in with their specific and unique gifts, and they are successful at anything they touch, including writing books, speaking, corporate teaching, whatever. So that is what I do. And that is, I found that gift through tapping into my own gifts of like encouraging people through helping guide them to their authentic self.
I think this is beautiful. And this is a message that's getting more and more out there. It's spreading that being able to regulate your nervous system is so required, whether you want to be a good employee and especially if you want to be a leader. You cannot be an effective leader without regulating your nervous system because all sorts of problems come up if you can't. This is just my own feedback, but number one, you're not going to be able to open the feedback. Number two, if you're constantly having moods going back and forth, you're going to scare the crap out of your team. It's just so important. And more as I explore this and talk to people and read and study, I am seeing that regulation and neuroscience is backing up ancient wisdom, which I think is so exciting. The science of mind from the East is now being backed up and confirmed and even clarified by modern scientific measuring, which excites me tremendously. I want to get to something. You had a background as an athlete and you got injured. So tell us a little bit about that because that would terrify me.
Well, I think we all experienced challenges in life. And my
Mm.
specific challenge was a back injury while I was running track and field. And
Oh
that
dear.
back injury happened because I was overworking myself. And I think most people listening can relate to like sometimes we just overwork ourselves, especially when we're excited. Maybe we have a new child in the home. Maybe we have a new job. Maybe we're starting an exciting project. So I was running track and I was excited. And I was so excited that I was overworking myself and I was overusing my back because I was a high jumper and long jumper. I was a
Oh
heptathlete.
wow.
I did all the things. And so eventually I got a stress fracture and I had to sit out for a year. After
Oh
6
God.
months, I tried to come back and I wasn't ready. It was still painful. And in that time, the counselor told me to try yoga. And in yoga, that's when I learned to slow down. So even though I move fast and I scale my businesses and I scale my life and I design the life I want to live, because of yoga, I've learned I can do it at a pace that's in alignment with my nervous system, right? So my nervous system is the guiding force of how much I can do. If I feel drained, if I'm not getting enough sleep, if I don't feel well, I got to slow down. If I feel regulated, my sleep is good, then it lets me know, okay, I can take more. So I think what I like to teach people is that you got to understand your capacity. No matter who you are, no matter what you
I love
do,
that.
you have to understand what your capacity is and you have to live in alignment with that capacity. And that's what yoga taught me.
This is amazing. I love this. You said something. I want to push back on something you said, and I push back not in a personal way, but because I know my audience tends to be extremely intellectual and they like to challenge ideas that are coming up. So, on behalf of my audience, I'm going to push back on something. You use the word authentic self. So, what exactly does that mean? I'll tell you why I say this. As a healer myself, a lot of people come to me and say, well, that wouldn't be myself if I made that change. And what a lot of people do is they confuse the word authentic with being habitual, meaning this is what I'm habitually used to doing. So if you tell me or you guide me to be less habitual, more in the moment, it's not going to be my real self. Does that make sense to you? So what do you mean by authentic? Because so many people use it. If I'm one more quick thing, because forgive me for stepping on your answer. If I get pulled over by a cop and the cop is really nasty, my authentic response is going to be "F you, don't tell." Right, but I'm going to be submissive and say, "Yes, officer, how can I comply?" So, what is your definition of being authentic? What does that mean for you? How do you define it?
So for me, authentic self is not habitual self. That's not my definition. My definition of authentic self is your true self. Like if you take the mask off. So it doesn't mean that you're always going to say and do whatever it is you want to do. So, and also when I talk about authentic self, it's what's in the highest alignment with your spiritual vibration of love. So also my authentic self might want to curse out someone that hurt me, but my
Hmm.
authentic self will ask, I wonder what happened to that person to make them want to talk to me that way. So authentic self, I believe we all are collected to connective consciousness, and that consciousness is unity, is love, is compassion. And then we experience trauma, and then we experience separation. And all those things make us react in a certain way because of our human experience. But the authentic self that I'm talking about is in alignment with unity, with love, with the highest vibration on the planet. And so when you got stopped by that cop, your authentic self that didn't want to go to jail would say, I'm going to have compassion for this person, because if I tell them what I feel, which feelings are not always your authentic self. They're
Whoa, 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 pause. That's so brilliant. You just dropped a diamond. And when one of my guests drops a diamond, I have to pause them. Say that again and unpack it because my audience needs to hear it. Everyone needs to hear this diamond of wisdom you just dropped. So please repeat it and then help me polish it.
Your
You said,
feelings are not always your authentic self. Your feelings can be because of trauma. Your feelings can be because of anything that you've experienced outside of love that triggers you. And when you get triggered, your response is not always the response of your highest self or your most authentic self. Your response might be like, I need to protect myself. I need to tell them how I really feel. And that is not necessarily in alignment with your authentic self.
sounds like my last 10 romantic relationships. If you
Well,
really want to get triggered, I suggest you get involved with something romantically. You will get triggered, and your partner is your best guru, whether you know it or not, if you can learn from it.
yeah, well, I think our partners, it's one thing to have sovereignty and know how to be well by yourself. But when you get in relationship, whether it be relationship with a romantic partner or your family, those people trigger you even more because you have a love for them, right? And you want to be vulnerable with them. What happens is they mirror your highest spaces for growth and expansion. And the goal for that trigger is for you to overcome it, for you to grow, for you to realize, like, oh, okay, here I need to set healthy boundaries. Here I need to share my feelings more. It's not for you to say, you're not for me because you don't think like I think, you don't move like I move. And that's where a lot of relationships get hung up because they want a person that's just a yes person and will do whatever they say and fully
Oh,
aligns with all the boxes. But the truth is, the best person for you is a person that's going to help you expand and grow into your highest and greatest self, and they're going to support that growth.
extraordinarily powerful. And equally in business, you're going to have clients or potential clients that trigger you. Uh, happens all the time. People, if you're out there and you want to go into business and and you're expecting a smooth, even ride without some bumps and roller coasters, you probably should keep collecting that paycheck. But one of the things that was in your bio that was very interesting to me and continues to be, is you talk about the power of vulnerability. And my observation, I really want to hear your insight. My observation is everyone wants to be vulnerable, but the problem is they want the other person to go first. So, talk about the power of vulnerability and how do we develop the courage to be vulnerable? Because so many people associate it with being hurt.
Right. Being vulnerable is just sharing like your true feelings. And not everyone has the capacity to hold your true feelings, right? So you have to discern like what people are able to hold like your true feelings and they won't take it and like use it against you,
Mm.
so to speak. So you do need to be in a safe space and feel like you're in a safe space to truly be vulnerable. Some people can be vulnerable and they use vulnerability as a strategy. That's not the vulnerability I'm talking about. I'm talking for,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
yeah, I've done
vulnerability.
that myself. Guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not it. The vulnerability that's really important is saying, "Hey, you know what? I said what I said because really I was hurt, and I wanted to hurt you back. And, you said that to me and it hurt me, and that's vulnerable. It's not I was vulnerable so I cussed you out. That was my true authentic feelings. You got to go beneath why did you cuss the person out? That's the vulnerability. It's the reason behind why you acted in a way that was out of alignment with your authentic self, which is out of alignment with the vibration of love and peace, connection, and unity.
I'm sure there are audience members who, I'm going to use the word cynical, hard boiled. We're thinking, what is all this love and alignment that I need to drive my team? My team is not meeting its goals. It's not hitting the KPI. The it's just not doing it. What is this empathy stuff? What is this loving vibration stuff? This is woo woo. And listening to you, what I think is beautiful about your work, I'm just, again, giving you kudos, is you're taking these ideas that an entrepreneur or a team leader would normally go, what are you talking about? Making it available for them, making it available for their team, and showing them how it's actually going to improve the bottom line results. You're combining, as I see it, you're combining these wonderful strategies for being empathic, for bringing out the best in your team, and do it in a way. This is a beautiful skill that you have. Do it in a way where it's applicable, where it's practical, where people who have a mind that are looking for something practical will go, okay, I can do this. It's a wonderful. It shows me you have an incredible balance between left brain kind of thinking. Oh, we just switched. Okay, between left brain kind of thinking and the intuitive, loving side of you. And again, this is a natural gift of yours.
Well, I think we all have masculine and feminine tendencies within us. And the masculine gets things done, follows systems, follows strategy into the end. And the feminine is more receiving information, based on that information, deciding how it's going to move. The feminine is very intuitive. And so I firmly believe that everyone should nurture their masculine and feminine. So everyone should tap into their intuition, should tap into nature, should tap into flow, and also should tap into getting things done and creating systems for success. So I just think some people, like, let's say in a relationship, there is a more masculine and feminine, and it creates polarity and it makes a good relationship. But when I work with high achievers, when I work with power couples, you actually have to balance both sides within each person. So either both sides are balanced, or there could be one holding the masculine energy and one partner holding the feminine energy. Even in same-sex partnerships, it still reigns to be true. But the most powerful couples are couples that nurture both sides of each person. They can switch off. Like, I could be cleaning the house or my husband can. I can be leading a team meeting or my husband can. And so when you have that type of dynamic, it's very powerful. So I train people about polarity and how that's important, but I also share how it's important to nurture, because I work with optimal health and well-being. And in optimal health and well-being, you're actually nurturing your masculine and feminine sides.
You're blowing me away with everything you have. I could do 10 episodes with you. I have to ask. I just have to ask. This is a rhetorical question. So apologies from me if it's too rhetorical. Why don't you have your own nationally syndicated TV show or radio show? People need to hear what you're sharing. Do you have a vision? That you don't have to share it if you don't want to. But is that something in your back of your head, like to have something TV or radio? Because this message is really powerful. It's practical and it's spiritual and it's beautiful, and I'm sure it's profitable for the people who you're teaching and sharing this with. Should I withdraw that question? Because we'll just withdraw.
Our questions are valid. And I feel like I could have a nationally syndicated talk show one day. I also have had a podcast. I also reach a lot of people on social media. I have a beautiful community. And I think it just depends on what I say yes to, what I desire. But I do believe that I have the energy, the wisdom, and the charisma to hold a nationally syndicated talk show.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely you do.
You never know.
And you combine that charisma with deep clarity in your messaging, which is very appealing to me. So we actually are, oh, wow, we are at time. So Koya, I want to thank you. And more importantly, I know for a fact that my audience is going to want to stay in the conversation with you. How do they stay in the conversation with you? How can they reach out to you? What is the best way for them to do that?
Well, you can go to my website, koyawebb.com, KoyaWebb.com. Also, Koya Webb on Instagram and YouTube, which are my favorite social media channels. I'm also on some other social media platforms underneath my full name, Koya Webb, as well.
We will have my crackerjack, amazing producer Tracy, put that in the show notes so people don't lose touch with you and are able to continue to benefit from your wonderful combination of practical applications and deep spiritual wisdom. I think it's a beautiful and unique thing. You really blessed us by being on the show today. So once again, we have another great episode for you on the Influencer's Edge. Tune in next time when you're ready to think outside the box, color outside the lines, and disconnect the dots, and maybe throw a little paint against the wall. We'll see you on the next episode. Koya, stay with me for an after show green room chat, would you?
Thank you. Absolutely.
All right. We'll see you on the next episode, folks. The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Subconscious Selling Domination System. If you're an already successful sales leader, salesperson, or sales team leader, and you're already at the top 10 to 20% of your market, but somehow you've hit a plateau, the old techniques are just barely moving the needle, and you're ready to bust through, dominate your market, and even crush your competition, go to sellwithsuggestion.com. Grab your instant trust quick start training and your subconscious sales conversion vault, which are all part of the subconscious selling domination system. Just go to sellwithsuggestion.com. That's sellwithsuggestion.com.